Mike, I'll start with you. If you go back to 2022, the ChatGPT moment, and you tried to do that with the tool of the time, the limiting factor would have been data, and it would have been context.
Yes.
I guess the best place to start is to ask what you've solved for, what the actual technology is that you've worked on that allows financial services outfits to do better with what they've got.
Yeah, so I can start from the beginning. Rowspace is an AI platform for asset managers. We help our customers use what we call their institutional memory, all of that proprietary data, and the accumulated judgment to make better and faster decisions. As you noted, all of our customers have had the sentiment of there is enormous value in our data if only we could take advantage of that. So we help them do that. So Rowspace connects to all of their data systems. That's not just documents, but it's things like accounting, trade, and position information, CRMs, anything you can imagine. And our AI agents understand the data, the connections, the inconsistencies, the conflicts, so we can reason holistically and rigorously over all of that data. So I can give you one quick example just to make it more concrete. So we're lucky to work with one of the world's largest credit originators. And when they have a question...
You won't name them.
You can imagine the compliance and security requirements of our customers. But if they're considering what trade can and should we make now, that involves exporting reports from a variety of systems, reconciling the data, cross-referencing with credit documents. It's really easy to miss the piece of data that might drive a key decision.
Right.
But we help give our customers this complete view with AI. You know, it's the moment of agents right now. People are so excited by agents, but really agents are only as good as the data they operate on.
Alfred, you know, Sequoia is in OpenAI and in Anthropic. This is the application of the environment that we're in, particularly, you know, relevant to our audience, financial services.
Right.
You know, why you decided to make this particular investment and your sort of thesis around it.
Well, at Sequoia, we first start with the founders, founder focused and then market driven, and this is a place where both are just exceptional. Michael and Ibo, his co-founder, they met at MIT. They've been working together for a period of time. They took different paths. They knew each other when they were young. And Michael worked at Stripe and Notion. He understands the problem. Ibo worked in finance leadership, so he understands the problem of taking data from all these disparate systems and bringing it all together. And so these two are attacking a very, very important problem. This is not something you can get wrong. People use Rowspace to make better decisions with AI. And they need to make sure the numbers are right. And in many of these cases, they're making decisions to make more money. And so the investment thesis here is we can help people make better decisions. This is going to be a really, really powerful application.
Michael, it's interesting, though. I spoke to Thrive Capital before, and they've basically built this themselves using all their own internal emails, chains, data. They've built it and probably using OpenAI's technology. And I'm interested as to what the clapback is to the idea that Anthropic plugin isn't eventually going to be as good, or businesses can't build it themselves in some way.
It's a great question. A few things here. First, our view is that the products in market right now are really focused on time savings, faster decks, faster models. That's really valuable, and it's important. Our focus, as Alfred mentioned, is really how do we help our customers make better decisions? And this demands going incredibly deep into their data. All of the records from their trades, positions, memos, all of that, it needs to be understood in advance. And this is an incredibly challenging problem. It's an infrastructure problem, it is a security problem, it is a product problem, and of course, it's an AI one. And that is a problem that our Rowspace team is really well suited to handle. There's so many nuances in finance. How do you do reconciliation? How do you understand what a restatement is? What version of EBITDA do you even use in this model? And what version of the document is the correct one? Those are all things that we care about in extreme detail. Is it adjusted? Is it approved? All that, yes.
Extreme detail. Let's get, though, a little bit bird's eye perspective for a moment, if we can, Alfred, because this is a week in which we are throwing ourselves into a dystopian future. We are trying to think what the future of agentic AI means for an economy, for workplace, for unemployment. And Alfred, what do you make of like the Citrini research? What do you make of the Harvard piece about actually the outperformance does come from humans still? AI hasn't been able to replicate that. Where do you sit in terms of where we are in terms of agentic AI and the impact it has on your line of business, on mine?
So at Sequoia, we've always been optimists, and I think we need to be to help build legendary companies with the daring that we back, and the people that are daring are people like Michael. And we can think of the world as a dystopian world, but at the same time, we just are very, very optimistic that the impacts are real. AI impacts are real. They're going to allow us to do a lot more than we used to be able to do. And so, yes, some of the things that we did before, we're going to not do anymore because it's going to get automated by AI. But it just leaves all of us to be able to do much more strategic work, much more creative work, and much more human work. This is why in Rowspace's sort of example, there's still a human in the loop, and we want the human to be in the loop to make the decisions on our behalf. I don't think we're going to give our decisions willy-nilly to an AI to make on retirements and benefits and insurance or anything related to the type of your viewers who are thinking about those decisions.
Alfred, you were named as co-steward of the firm in November alongside Pat Grady. But interesting, in leading this round with Sequoia, how's that first few months been? Continuing to make investments, do things differently or the same at the firm? Tell us what it's like.
It's pretty much been pretty smooth. It's been great working with Pat, and the reason that we're co is because that allows us to stay on the field, and we love investing at Sequoia. And so we believe that that's where most of the time should be spent. I spend a lot of time with Michael because it's fun, it's interesting, and we get to help founders build the future.
This is a combined seed Series A, but it's a big chunk of change, $50 million. When we were talking about keeping a human in the loop, I was immediately thinking about observability. But really, I think what we should get to is how you're going to run this business, who you need to hire, and what the kind of operating challenge is in the near term.
Yeah, like I mentioned, this is a problem that is not just an AI modeling one. We have to deploy securely in our customers' environment so we keep the data where it is. That is an infrastructure and a security engineering challenge, and we are beefing up the team there. There is all of this applied AI research that we have to do to make sure our agents can understand arbitrary financial data, reason about it carefully. We're expanding our teams in both San Francisco and New York, so this is a huge year for growth for us. We expect to triple, if not quadruple, the team over both locations.
This could be a huge year, Alfred, for IPOs and for companies that you're invested in. I think of Anthropic, I think of OpenAI. It seems as though Stripe, which you're invested in, is going to be holding off for a little bit longer. But Alfred, where's your optimism there? Is 2026 the year?
We're each year, that's a funny question because we try to make each year better than the previous year at Sequoia, and if you do that, every year is that's the reason we're optimistic. And this year it will be, I'm sure it's going to be better than last year. And we don't really think about the companies that are exiting or staying private. The companies that last, they're in this journey, and they are on they're working on their visions for decades. And so, you have Jensen, who is going to report today. We seeded that company. It's been 3 decades, and he's still going.
What is your optimism, Alfred, on companies like Snowflake that you've been in for a very long time, on their ability to take on this moment of reckoning in software, on this moment of reckoning in disruption? Can they rebuild from within? Can they be the ones that survive what many feel is going to be ultimate disruption?
Well, I think the sort of fun that we have is that at Sequoia is that we get to back the daring, build legendary companies. And so every company will go through these ups and downs. Rowspace is an AI-native company, and so they're focused on building the way that software is built today. Let's not forget, AI is a lot of software. The legacy software companies, of yesteryear, like Oracle, still exist today. Snowflake has to make the transition from where it is today, which has lots of customers and lots of people using it, to build more AI into their business. If they do, they will do extremely well. And I believe in the management team of Snowflake to be able to make that transition.